Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at how you find the circumference of a circle. And before we get to the formula and how we all play out, I just kind of want to really review what we talked about yesterday. So yesterday we looked at the parts of a circle, and we noticed that the entire distance across the circle is the diameter, and that'll be shown by that straight line from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle. While your radius is going to be this short line right here. This is half of that distance. And there were some questions yesterday about how you find the radius. And if you look, the diameter goes all the way across, while the radius only goes halfway. And so if I was told that my diameter was 20 inches, and that's all the way across, I only want to go half of that. So I would take this amount and cut it in half. And I would figure out that my radius is 10 inches. So to go from diameter to radius, I'm dividing by 2. Now, if I'm given my radius, and I know my radius is 10, and I need to get to my diameter, I know that I need to have double of these. I need this side and that side. So I need 2 of them. So to go from radius to diameter, I'm going to have to multiply by 2. So I would take 10 times 2 to get that other side. I need 2 of them. And that's really how we go back and forth between the 2 of them. It's important to know if we're dealing with the diameter, the whole distance, or radius, the half distance, when we try to figure out the circumference. And the circumference is the entire distance around the outside of a circle. And it only works for a circle. That's the only shape that we can focus on for circumference. Any other shape we have to call perimeter. The reason we have to use the circumference is because the circumference is a special formula that looks at the distance around this ratio and the entire distance across to figure out what and how much space we're taking up. So we're going to do some quick practice with diameter and radius before we move on to circumference. So I'm going to grab some practice problems. All of the problems that I'm using today are found from our notes. So if you're following along, they're right in there. So these 2 problems are on our notes. So we need to find the diameter, and I need to find the diameter if I know that my radius is 16 feet. So I need to find the diameter, and I know that that's the entire distance across. So the entire distance across, I would multiply by 2. So I have half the distance. I would take this times 2, and that would give me 32 feet. Again, I have half of my distance. I need to go the other way, so I need 2 of them, so it's 32 feet. Now, if I have 80 yards, so I know that even for the visual, right now, I'm halfway there at 80 yards. I need to go the other way, so another 80. So that's one way you can think about it. Like I said, for math, we're going to multiply by 2, so I get 160 yards. It's important for us to have the labels so that we know what we're dealing with. Now, radius. This is where I got a lot of questions yesterday of finding the radius. So basically what's happening here is this circle is telling me that the entire distance across, my diameter is 12. And the radius is only looking for this half distance right here. I need half of that distance. I only want to go half. If 12 is the entire distance and I'm going to cut that number in half, half means to divide. That would give me 6 centimeters. Again, it's important to use that label. To get to the radius, we're just dividing by 2 because we just want half of that information. So let's try one over here. So this is 25. So this is telling me that the entire distance across is 25 meters, and I need half of that distance. So I'm going to figure out a way, use red I guess, to divide by 2, and there's a glare on that one, so I'm just going to outline it in black. So 25 divided by 2, And that's not going to come out to a whole number. That's going to come out to a fraction or a decimal. It's going to give you 12 and a half or 12 and 5/10. And again, we need those labels for meters. So just to recap, to find the radius and the diameter is what we're taking a look at. If you are given the radius and you need to go to diameter, you need to get larger. You need two of them. You have one side, you need the other side. You're going to multiply by 2. If you want to find the radius and you're given the diameter, so you have the whole distance and you only want half, you're going to divide by 2. And it's important for us because for circumference, we focus on the diameter, and for area, we focus on the radius. So, now that we have the parts of the circle pretty well figured out, we're going to take a look at circumference. So, circumference, I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit. Circumference is the distance around the outside of our circle. And so we're going to be figuring out the entire distance around. Now, we've up to this point have been using straight sides. Now we have curves to our sides. So our formula is going to change slightly. So our formula is going to end up being circumference equals pi times diameter. Now pi is a ratio. It's the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. Long time ago, these really boring Greek people decided that they were going to try to figure out what pi was equal to, and no one still has because pi goes on forever, ever. We're still finding new digits to pi. But for our sake, pi for us is going to represent approximately 3.14. And that's that ratio of how we figure out how the distance goes around. There's a really long mathematical proof online that you're more than welcome to look up, but for our sakes, we're just going to look at it as a ratio of different lengths together. And so for our sake, to make sure our calculations are correct and that we know what each other is talking about, we're going to use 3.14. We are also going to be multiplying that by the diameter. We're going to try to figure out the distance across and the ratio around the outside. We always need to use the diameter. So if we're given the radius, we have to change it to the diameter. And we already know how to do that. If we're given the radius, we multiply by 2. This is the formula that we are going to use. Pi, which we're going to plug in 3.14 times diameter. We're going to practice this, and we're going to practice writing it out on some of these circles. So again, this comes straight from your notes. So we're going to use 3.14 for pi, and I have 4 circles that we're going to move through. We're going to find their circumference. As a reminder, the formula for circumference is pi times diameter. If I look at the circle that's given to me, I see the line goes all the way across, so I know that without a shadow of a doubt that the line that goes all the way across is diameter. So I don't have to do any extra math. So I'm going to fill in the pieces as I write them. Circumference, that is what I'm trying to find. Pi, well, I know that pi is 3.14 times. I know my diameter is 20. I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to type in 20 times 3.14, and I'm going to get an approximate answer, 62 and 8/10. So I'm going to say that circumference for us is approximately, because again, pi is a number that goes on forever, 62 and 8/10 inches. This is all that we need to do for circumference. Circumference is a formula. Most of Chapter 8 is using formulas to figure out how to get your answers. Chapter 9 is on surface area and volume. Again, formulas to get your answer. We moved into geometry. So geometry is all about formulas and manipulating formulas, changing formulas to get the answer you want from the pieces you are given. So all I did is I used the formula, pi times diameter. I know that I'm going to use 3.14 as pi. Your notes say that you can use 22/7. For most of what I work with, I use 3.14. So you don't have to use 22 and 7/10, 22 over 7. It's going to give you the same answer. So let's take a look at this circle. Now, if I notice this circle looks different, besides just this is 20 and this is 8, I am aware that it's different numbers. This one is only halfway. So I know that this is half of my distance, so I actually have the radius. If you recall from your formula, can't see that, so let's use black. And that one doesn't work. We're winning today, folks, winning. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So, circumference, pi, well, I know that that is 3.14. Diameter, I don't have the diameter. I have 8 feet. So I need to figure out the entire distance across. If I know that half of the distance is 8, I need the whole distance. If you recall from before, radius, you take your radius times 2 to figure out your diameter. So I know that 8 times 2 is 16. So I'm going to take 3.14 times 16, and I'm going to get 50 and 24 hundredths. And again, we're going to leave it with all of our decimal points that are given to us. And again, we need that label, 50 and 24 hundredths feet. Again, all we are doing is looking at what information is given to us. In our first problem, our diameter is given to us. So I plug in the information for the diameter into my problem. For this one, the radius was given to us, so you needed to find your diameter. Now, I have 2 other circles that we're going to talk through. Now, for this one, I can see that my radius is given, so I can quickly determine that my diameter is 28. For this one, I can determine that the entire distance across is 63. What I would like you to do right now is pause this video and figure out, can you solve the answers? So we're going to pause the video. You're going to fill in circumference equals pi times diameter. Circumference equals pi times diameter. You're going to substitute in 3.14 for pi, figure out your diameter, which is already given to us, and then plug that into your calculator and see what you get. You're going to notice there's going to be an abrupt change from my pause to the answer, but I want you to be able to see if you can solve it on your own. So pause the video now and see if you can solve it. All right, so hopefully you were able to work through this process very seamlessly. You were able to understand that you use 3.14 for pi. Your diameter is 28. And again, I see up here, pi 3.14. Diameter is given to us, that's 63. If I type both of these into our calculator, these are the answers that I'm able to get. Hopefully this is a seamless process for all of you. We are going to practice circumference and being able to work with circumference today. So in the hyperdoc, if you scroll down, you're going to see there is a practice link. This is a link to a Quizzy. This is not graded. So one more time, your Quizzy is not graded. All you are going to do for me is you can practice. So if you want to take a look at, can I find circumference? Can I do along with it? You know, go ahead and give it a shot. So steps to be able to do. Click on the practice link. Try it out. Maybe you want, it's a Quizzy, so maybe you want to do a Google Meet and send a link to some friends in Hangouts and all go together and see if who can get the highest score. But it's a practice link. You can try it out. You can launch the game, see how it works. After you feel confident in your ability to find circumference of a circle, if you scroll down in the homework, section, you're going to work in your hardcover math books on page 321, and you're going to take a look at problems numbers 9 through 11. There are only 3 of them. It's just on circumference, and then you can place your answers in the form. And that's really sloppy handwriting for a whiteboard. I apologize. Like I said, if you have questions or concerns, or you just need, you want more refresher, let me know, reach out. I'm changing up the hyperdocs just a little bit to kind of take out some of the busy work and make it really seamless for everybody so that you understand what to do and how to do. I'm going to put do this first, do this second. I'm going to move the note sheets into the lessons so that you see that they go together. And like I said, we'll work on this process as we go throughout. So good luck, guys. Reach out if you have questions or concerns. See you guys later. Bye.